y'all, today we are making crock-pot apple butter. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to need is about 5 or 6 pounds of apples. Now, I like to use like the Fuji or the Gala apples for this recipe, but use whatever apples you like. And clearly, my grandkids were in the kitchen with me today. So this new little contraption that I got, this apple peeler, corer, and slicer, was a lifesaver on this day. Now, this video you're seeing apple butter, but I also am gonna have videos coming up for applesauce, apple sugar, apple pie filling. What else did we do? All kinds of apple things. So lots of apple stuff coming to y'all very soon. But this contraption is super easy to use, and I was a little confused right here because I didn't realize, crazy I guess, but I wasn't realizing it was going to slice the apples at this point. And but it turned out fine because I had to cut them up anyway. But it's super easy to use. You just put the apple on there and then you twist the little handle and then it peels the apples. It makes it so much quicker. And I mangled 1 or 2 of these, but I realized after this part that I was putting the apples on backwards. So I don't know if that had something to do with the reason that I mangled a few of them. But you see those little peels that are coming off? Make sure that you save those because in another video I'm going to show you what we do with those. There's really so many things that you can do with them, but I have one particular thing that I'm going to do with those that you will see in a video coming up. And of course my grandkids wanted to help because this little contraption was so neat. So all 3 of them came in and took turns and we mangled a few more apples, but that was okay. But they had fun doing it, and it does have sharp blades on it, so that is why I'm standing very close, and they're only allowed to turn the handle, not actually mess with anything down on the end where the slicing is happening, because that's where the blades are. So just in case anybody was wondering about the safety of the situation, I'm right there with them the whole time. So we got our apples all peeled up, and you don't have to do it this way. You can actually, if you wanted to leave the peels on, I guess you could. I didn't want little pieces of apple peel in here, but because there are a lot of nutrients in the skins of the apple, that is why I said don't throw those away. I'm going to show you in another video what you can do with those. So, make sure you're subscribed so you will see all the apple goodness coming up. So once we got our apples all peeled and cored and sliced up, we are going to obviously clean our mess up. This is a crock-pot recipe, obviously, like I said, and this is so easy. I mean, this is pretty much all the work you have to do is the peeling, and that's why I got that little contraption, and I will link that down below for y'all if y'all are looking for one. I want to say it was maybe $20 or maybe a little less than that, but if you do any kind of big amount of peeling like this, get you one of these. It also peels potatoes. You can take the little part that cores it and slices it off, and then it can just peel. So, if you have some potatoes you need to peel. So then I just cut these up into a little bit smaller pieces. And again, I'm just going to throw all these in the crock pot. Now, you probably can do this on the stove, but my stove is very weird about how it holds heat, and it's not real forgiving. Sometimes it works fantastic, sometimes it does not. And something that needs to cook down as long as these do, I just didn't want to take the chance and have to babysit it on the stove. So that's why we're doing it in the crock pot. So once you get your apples in the crock pot, we're going to add all the other stuff to it. Now, I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar. That seems like a lot of sugar, but a lot of recipes call for way more than that. I'm going to use 2. You can use brown sugar. If you prefer brown sugar, it'll give it a little bit of a deeper flavor. You can use a combination of brown sugar and white sugar, however you want to do it. Or if you are diabetic or something like that and you need to use a sugar substitute, you certainly can, but you will need to adjust the amount if it isn't a 1-to-1 swap for regular sugar, because a lot of the alternatives are way sweeter than sugar. So the next thing we're going to add is some cinnamon. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of the cinnamon, and the printable recipe will be in the description box for y'all as usual. This is a half teaspoon measuring spoon. My full teaspoon was in the dishwasher. That's why I was showing it to y'all at the beginning. So 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Then we're going to add in some ground cloves, just a half a teaspoon. My whole house smelled like fall the day that I made this, y'all. And it is so good. So then we're going to add in a half teaspoon of nutmeg, and then we're going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. You're going to give that a really good mix. Make sure all your little apples are good and coated. And then we are going to let these cook. You don't have to add any liquid. They're going to create their own liquid, especially with all that sugar in there. So we're just going to let this cook on low for about 8 to 10 hours. You just want these to be super, super soft. And that way we can, blend them up real good to make a smooth apple butter. So again, just put those over just to the side somewhere. You're going to have your house smelling good all day long, and then you don't even have to think about them. So after your time is up and your apples are super, super soft, you're going to finish this out. Now this is very hot, so be very careful with this part of it. As you can see, look at all the liquid that it created down in there. That's going to be fine. Don't feel like this is so liquidy and it's going to be like a runny apple butter. It is not. It's going to thicken up when we blend these apples. Now you can do these in a blender if you don't have an immersion blender, but you need to make sure that you follow the directions on your blender on how to blend hot food and liquids, okay? Because you don't want to blow the top off your blender or do something and end up burning yourself. So what I like to do, just because there's so many pieces, I go ahead and take this like potato masher or whatever this thing is, and I just mash it up just a little bit to break those pieces up just a touch. It is completely unnecessary. It is just always an extra step that I take. Do with that information what you will, right? So you are going to be able to keep this in, if you keep it in the refrigerator, like if you want some to stay in the refrigerator, it'll last about 2 weeks in the refrigerator, or it'll last about a year in the freezer. So don't think that you're going to, make this and then it's all going to go bad. It'll last a year in your freezer. Now, somebody always asks me if you can can stuff like this. I am not a canner. I've never canned anything, but I now have a pressure canner, a big pot to water bath can. Y'all know I have jars. And I have started ordering all the things that I need, books and things like that, so that I can start doing some canning. So if canning is your jam, or if you're thinking about getting into it, make sure that you stick around, because that will be coming up at some point on this channel. It may be after the holidays. I have a lot of stuff coming up. I'm going to Scotland in a few weeks. If some of y'all know that already, some of y'all probably don't. So I'll be out of the country for a few weeks, and then the holidays are going to be here in full swing. So I don't know if I'll have time to start the canning before the first of the year, but it's absolutely coming on this channel very soon. So as of right now, I don't know how to tell you how to can this. I know there's some very specific rules on the ingredients and things like that you use when you can stuff. But for now, this is going to go into the refrigerator or the freezer for me. So once you get it blended up and it's all nice and smooth, we're going to put it into some containers, and I'll link anything that I can down below for y'all. I always try to do that because a lot of y'all ask me what I use. So I've got these containers. These are 16-ounce containers, and I'm just going to scoop this into here. Now, I wanted to put this into the 8-ounce containers to have smaller containers of this, but I didn't have any on the day that I made this, so I'm putting them into bigger containers. But you can absolutely put these into one really big container or freezer bags or however you need to store it. But I find that these containers are fantastic for stuff like this, and you can reuse them also. So, that's the information on that. But use whatever you like to store your stuff in. If I'm going to put some just in the refrigerator, I would probably just stick it over in a jar, but again, that's just me. Put it in whatever you have, whatever works for you and your family at your house, okay? I don't want you to think that you have to have a certain container to do any of this. So I ended up with 4 of these containers. They're not quite full, as you can see, but I just kind of tried to even them out into those containers. And then I will show you kind of up close the texture of this. This is after they have come to room temperature. They will thicken up as they cool down, and then once you put them in the refrigerator, they will thicken up even more. So just so you'll know what the consistency is that you will have for your apple butter. So that is it. I have had several people in my family request apple butter, so now I have some apple butter to share. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. I hope that y'all learned something new today. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed because I have a lot more apple videos coming up. So if you're an apple lover, it's going to be right up your alley. All right, that is all that I have for y'all today, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.